and thank you for being here. As usual, correct your motivation. Before we start the teaching. Today, I'm going to teach again the Manjushri's fourth line of pardon from the four attachments. And that is, it says, if there is a grasping, you do not have the view. This is the last line of Manjushri's instruction, and it is talking about the view. So when we talk about the view, there are many different levels of view. And the Buddhist, the traditions and teaching, but view here, if there is a grasp and you do not have the view, this is kind of a high level of view, which is emptiness. Okay. And that is the Manjushri's instruction. And the Takpa Jensen's commentary and song is, I just send you, right? It says, if no matter how far I have progressed in the Dharma, as long as there is a grasping self, there is no freedom. There is no freedom or there is no liberation. To explain this in more detail, more detail. There is no liberation through grasping at existence. Existence. This there actually is talking about two X terms. The first is the existence. And then there is no high rebirth through grasping at non-existence. And grasping at both X terms, existence and non-existence, both X terms, you are just ignorance. It's impossible, right? So that's just impossible. You, the grasping at existence and non-existence, that's impossible. So if you have the view, the grasping at both X terms, that is ignorance. Then what we need to do is do the best you can to remain in non-duality. Okay, now here we're talking about again the view, right? And if you want to realize the emptiness, which is the true nature of all phenomena, right? So if you want to realize that emptiness, the true nature of all phenomena, then you must abandon grasping. And to eliminate the grasping, self-grasping, you must develop the right view, the nature of all phenomena. That's actually today's kind of like topic. So in order to recognize emptiness and achieve freedom from samsara, you must eliminate grasping. In order to eliminate grasping, you must understand the right view. That's the thing. Because the right view protects us from being caught up in the two extremes. They called eternalism and nihilism. These are the two extremes, okay? Either existence or non-existent. Internalism and eternalism, nihilism. So that's not the right view. The right view develop as soon as you understand the right view, then you have no view of these two extremes, okay? So according to Tapa Jansen's commentary, the Sang, both of these extremes are very, very mistaken and ignorant. It is because if in your view you attached yourself to existence, this is known in the Buddhist tradition as holding the position of eternalism. Okay? And from this view, there is no way even to seek liberation. So therefore, if you grasp at your own being as having a truly existing self, there is no way to attain freedom. That's Tapa Jansen's today. He's saying that, right? So that's the one extreme. And on the other hand, if in your view you deny yourself to non-existence, this is known in the Buddhist tradition as holding the position of nihilism. Okay, so two extremes. Those who hold the view non-existence deny the possibility of liberation, and they finally end up with a worldly view that leads them to deny the negative karmic sort of accumulations that result from bad conduct. So that's the very dangerous kind of like view. And actually, this is the most dangerous sort of nihilism. Okay, if you have that kind of view, you don't believe your negative karma or the karmic accumulation, because then you do bad things. So the result of your bad actions. If you don't believe that, that's dangerous. And they don't believe in karma. That's actually, they don't believe in karma, don't believe in cause and effect. So basically, they don't believe in their negative actions at all. And due to this sort of mistaken attitude, people believe that nothing really matters, right? For example, those when you see, those slaughters or butchers, they can easily harm others. The way they harm others and the way they kill the animals, like slaughtered, there is no feeling of any sort of compassion. So these people really don't believe their negative actions at all. So then they can do these things easily because there is no feeling of compassion, no feeling of love. But because of that's this extreme. That's why this dangerous nihilism, this extreme, So we don't want to fall into these two extremes. If we realize the way sort of emptiness manifests as cause and effect, then we are free from these two extremes. Usually when we experience all these appearances, usually we forget their essence, right? We see all this beautiful object and appearance, hear all these things. That's all. But we at that moment we forget their essence. What is their essence? Which is emptiness. We totally sort of believe that all these appearances like truly exist, and there's no sort of sense of like recognition of emptiness. So we forget that, right? We always separate experience from emptiness. We always sort of take sort of one side of appearances. Then the problem is this takes us to the extremes. So therefore, the view, it says if you have a grasp and you have no correct view. The appearances in emptiness inseparable, right? But it's difficult to experience the sort of this union of emptiness and appearances without correct understanding, without meditation, because we have such strong habits of sort of separating, appearance and emptiness. Emptiness and appearances are like when you look at a mirror, you see your face, right? You see your face. Your face appears in the mirror. When you think about it, you see your face in the mirror, appears in the mirror, but your face is not truly there. I mean, not physically there. Yet your face appears exactly. Think about that example. So similarly, when you look at all these appearances, they appear, right? But they appear and they're not, you see them, they appear, but they're not sort of truly there. You understand? They're not truly there. When I say they're not truly there, meaning all these appearances are dependently arising. But at the very same time, they appear out of emptiness, so to speak, So we're talking here about emptiness, right? Now, in English, emptiness, or when you say emptiness, or when you think of emptiness or empty, are used in daily language and bring sort of the idea that nothing is there, right? When people say, oh, this is empty, means there's nothing. Nothing is there. It's empty, right? Which is not quite the right here when we talk about the Buddhist point of view, empty. Because it doesn't capture the meaning of emptiness, if you sort of think about that way, your language, empty or emptiness. But I think you all know the meaning of emptiness. It simply means that it is empty of inherent existence. In Tibetan language, inherent is so powerful. It's very important. So when we talk about emptiness, it doesn't mean nothing is there or things are disappear, right? But it means inherent existence. It's empty of inherent existence. Otherwise, if you are emptiness, it doesn't mean that you disappear. It simply means that you are not permanent. I mean, that's easy way to think about, okay? So people say like you are emptiness. It literally means like you are not permanent. You can change, you can grow, you can, be, influenced by causes and conditions. Things are always changing and sort of mixing with each other, right? Means that nothing is completely solid, means like permanent. For example, when you see a tree, it appears very beautifully, but when you think about it, there is no such thing as a tree, which is like permanent or independent or lump or singular. We have this kind of ideas, right? But we think when we see a tree appears in front of us, and we just naturally sort of believe that it's singular. It's a tree. It's one thing. However, in reality, everything we experience, everything we see, everything we hear there's so many things coming together at just this moment. When you see a tree, it's because all this different things coming together at this moment to appear like a tree. But when you investigate, there are just so many things, like it's countless things there together. So the tree is made actually out of lots of causes and conditions. There is no such thing as sort of singular or one thing or permanent. Okay? That is what Buddhists call it, interdependent arising. When these two realizations, interdependent and emptiness, are simultaneously arising, then you have the ultimate view. So that's what we're talking here today. Like if you have a grasping, you have no correct view. Means like we have just I said, when you see a tree, you think it's one thing, it's singular, it's permanent, right? You think that. I saw this tree from yesterday, last month, last year, same. That's permanent. The idea that you have this when you see it, it's this is not new. This is tree forever here. No, that's what we call permanent, right? But there's nothing like that. We have to understand that, correct? If you want eliminate the grasping through this sort of analysis, investigate, you will understand a little bit about emptiness. thousands of years ago, even like before the Buddha Shakyamuni came to India, there were many different kinds of religion in India. And most of them like believed that, all these things, are God. They believe God, and God create everything. This is even like before Buddha Shakyamuni came. The Indian tradition, the religions. There are lots of different religions, but they all believe. Many of them believe that this is like there is a creator, and everything is like that. But later, the Buddha Shakyamuni came, and of course, he did not accept that view, the creator. And he found this profound, would say, the view, which is the interdependent origination. That's what he called it. There's no creator. There's no such thing as a God who is creator. But all this, Buddha said, all this appearance appear due to all this sort of like different causes and conditions and all these things. That's what we call interdependent origination. So therefore, understanding the inseparability of dependent arising and emptiness is the very essence of the practice of Buddha's teaching. Unique. This is very unique. Therefore, having a view that is free of grasping is very crucial to realization of emptiness. Okay? If you have no understanding, sort of like have no view, this kind of interdependent arising, interdependent origination, this view, you will not understand emptiness and difficult to eliminate the grasping. So all things only appear to exist temporary, or I can say temporary exist according to the relative truth, based on the different causes that make them appear. So this means nothing is there inherently by itself. You see, large, small, good, bad, beautiful, ugly, all do not have actual existence. Everything is dependent arising, large and small. They depend on each other. There's no sort of actual existence. That's what we call tender, which literally means sort of like depend each other, or connection. The coming together of the right causes and conditions. That's what I mean, connection means. And once you begin to understand this view of dependent arising, which is the unique teaching of Buddhism, you will then start to understand why it is necessary to understand emptiness. Because if there is a grasping, we don't have the view, right? And without the view, there's no liberation, there's no freedom. And without liberation, there's unhappiness and suffering. That's the point. So that is actually what this stanza is all about today. So simple ways to explain this is, for example, I think you all understand, sort of not in very detail, but you understand like sort of a basic idea about this interdependent origination. This is huge topic, um, especially if you studied Buddhist philosophy. This is like you can explain this years and years and years. That's why what I mean, like you don't understand in detail these things, um, but interdependent origination is very common these days teaching, you know. So maybe you understand a little bit. But to simple way explain this is, for example, when you have a dream, let's say in your dream you are experiencing a lot of suffering, okay, and it can create unhappiness. Think about the why is that? Why is that? What is the reason for this? The reason dreams can cause unhappiness and suffering is because even we all know that the dream is false. Your dream is not real. But at that moment, if you are not aware of it is false, it is not true, and you believe your dream as it is real and true, then the experience of dream can cause a lot of suffering. For example, if you really want to have a sort of child and you have a dream that you have a child, and it can make you so happy because you are attached to it, right? You really want to have a child, and then you have it in your, I'm talking about dream, and when in your dream you have a child, it makes you so happy, and then a few minutes later your child is dead. It can make you tremendous suffering because you're attached to it, grasping, you know, your child, and then um, so you know it can makes you really suffering. So you see in your dream you feel happiness and suffering and that dream, right? It because first you don't recognize that it is not true, it is a dream, it is false. In your dream, it's you feel like you have a dream that you have child and your child died like that, but none of them happen at all. But you believe it, so you didn't recognize that it is not true. That's one cause problem, and the second, you are grasping to it. You believe it, and then you attach to it. That's second problem. You see, all the sufferings that we are having come from our grasping and attachment. And our grasping because we have no correct view. Lots of ignorance there. So you see, ultimately, to the object of your grasping, it really doesn't matter whether it is true or not. As long as you are grasping it, then it's the root of suffering. The object of the grasping, it doesn't matter. Like, for example, in your dream, the object of the child, it's not true, it's not there, it doesn't matter. As long as you grasping it, then it causes you suffer. So therefore, from the Buddhist point of view, we have to eliminate grasping. That's the root of suffering. But as I said, in order to eliminate grasping, you need the correct view, which is interdependent origination, which is the inseparable, the independent, the appearances and emptiness. Now, secondly, when you are suffering in your dream, like that, as I said, now, what is the best way to eliminate your dream suffering? Think about that. First, think about in your dream why it can cause you, it makes you feel happy or makes you are suffering, right? Why is that? And then after that, what is the best way to eliminate that suffering in your dream? That is, it is whether you wake up from the sleep or recognize that you are dreaming and it's unreal. So that is the best way to eliminate dream suffering. So you have to sort of like understand, recognize that your dream is unreal. Dream means nothing. Okay, you have to understand that. Then you can let go of your grasp into it. And second is you have to wake up from the sleep. Then your dream is gone. That's the best way to eliminate your dream suffering. Same as just if we realize that in our day-to-day life, the situation is similar, the dream. The Buddha's, many sutras in Buddha's, he talks about this kind of dream is unreal. So the things is like dream, in our day-to-day life. The situation is very similar, the dream, and if we are able to eliminate grasping, then there will be no longer suffering. There's no such thing as suffering as a solid or permanent, or we can't change it. There's a suffering because there are lots of causes and conditions that create, we create in that suffering. So all of the suffering that we are experiencing, whether big or small, all come from our grasping. That's what Buddha said. But whether this is true or not, you don't have to believe what I said, what Buddha said. You can investigate your situation, whether you are suffering, like big suffering, small suffering, whatever. You investigate, why is this? What is the cause? You can investigate your situation and what to do. What is the best way to eliminate the suffering? Up until this point, most of the people believed that the cause of their suffering comes from something is wrong with external world. Okay? And then the way to eliminate suffering, let's say like the between worldly people, the ordinary people and spiritual sort of practitioner is very different. Because, for example, the way worldly people try to eliminate their suffering is, for example, when I'm suffering from not having a nice car, let's say, for example, and then I'm suffering, I'm unhappy because I don't have a nice car. Everybody drive nice car. What I need a nice car, right? So I'm always thinking I'm always unhappy, not having a nice car. And then ordinary people, the way eliminate that suffering is like in order to buy sort of a beautiful car, then ordinary people think, oh, I need to work very hard because I need to make money. Then eventually I can buy a nice car. So most people think that is the sort of like, if you really want a nice things, you should work hard and make money, and then you can able to you'll be able to buy it, and so the most people think that is the best way to eliminate my suffering, of not having the nice car, right? However, the Dharma practitioners, sort of in this situation, they rather change their mind in order to eliminate the suffering from not having the car. You see, it's different. So the same with your anger. I'm talking, this is the like grasping, right? But now same with your anger. When you get angry with someone, what normal people do, normally, like, the ordinary people, uh, you would think that if you can destroy that person, that person makes you angry, so you want to destroy that person, then you can eliminate your suffering from anger. That's normal people thing. However, the Dharma practitioners would think, destroy the person will not eliminate their suffering. Instead, it creates more problem. So they try to change their mind of anger. That's a different way to eliminate suffering. So you see, there are two ways eliminate sort of unhappiness. So you should think which of the best methods is better for you to eliminate your suffering. Clearly you don't want suffering, so you want to eliminate everybody's suffering. As long as you're not enlightened being, you're suffering, no question. And people might say, I'm happy, there's nothing wrong. But fundamentally, there's something wrong. If you're not enlightened being, then you are suffering. So you have to eliminate your suffering. But the way you eliminate suffering, there are different ways. So you want to eliminate your suffering the way ordinary people do, or the way Dharma practitioners do. That's up to you. So you the thing is, let's say if you choose the ordinary people, like the way they reduce their suffering, the methods eliminate their suffering is like you work hard, right? So until you get that. But if you don't reduce, the problem is, don't reduce your desire or grasping, then the problem is always there. No matter, like, you are suffering from not having a nice car, but then you have nice car, but that you want something else, because they're always your desire, the grasping, always there. No matter you have a nice car or not, something is after that. It's your desire, sort of like want something. There's no satisfaction. So it is very easy to understand where all of this unhappiness come from. For example, if you have a beautiful car and you are very strongly sort of attached to it, and when something terrible happened to the car, it makes you really unhappy. So the Buddhist approach will be, when you have a nice car, you can use it whenever you need it, but don't be attached to it. So what the Buddha said was on this point, if you have a nice car or not nice car, whatever you have, that's fine. If you have 50 cars, that's fine. But don't be attached to it. For the reason is that if you are not attached to the car, then regardless of price, whether it is expensive car or it is cheap, you will be satisfied, right? And it will not cause you suffer. So I think it's important to understand when we say that we should not grasp in or should not attach to these things. You should know that this is different than asceticism, or ascetic approach, or taking this hardship path, like what Milarepa did, right? So Buddhism does not really teach that we should pursue only in sort of a ascetic life, okay? Or we should not have luxury life as Buddhist practitioners. You should understand that. However, it does say that no matter what kind of lifestyle you have, you should not excessively grasp to it or attach to it. That's the point. That's the bottom line. So if you Buddha clearly say in the sutras many times, if you don't have attachment or grasping, then you have a luxury sort of life. You can have no problem. You can have like hundreds of cars, no problem. Whatever you have, there's no. The problem is your grasping. The grasping is you have to reduce, the way you think about not about the cars outside, but inside the attachment. That's the very important thing. Okay, you may have like received so many different teachings from different traditions, different teachers like that. But basically, like in reality, like your mind has not any change. What is the point to receive so many teachings and different kinds of traditions? The thing is, you need change your mind. You should look something change the way you think, the way you act, behave. Nothing is outside, like external world. You don't have to change anything, the external world. You can't change. As I said, like you angry with somebody and you kill that person have another the family or friends or all those kind of things. They will get angry at you, and you cannot eliminate all of that. But that's what I mean, like outside, like the external world, you can't change, and you don't have to change. You need change in within your mind through receive all these teachings and contemplation and meditation. um, you have to investigate whether or not there is something change in your mind. If not, you should investigate something is not right. And like it's not to be attached to something or not grasping to something. It's not easy to do without practice, without good sort of methods, right? We understand all of this, oh yeah, interdependence, net origination, emptiness, all of this. That's amazing. I mean, it's of course it's amazing means like it talk about the reality, the talk of the truth. That's the truth. That's all there's no creator. There's no such thing as God create all of these things. That's these things create caused by causes and conditions like that. That's truth. We're talking about the truth. That makes sense. But just to understand intellectual understand that it can't change your mind. And then as long as you change nothing change your mind, same, you'll go through all suffering and experience all of this. So in order to change, you have to practice. And in order to practice, you need good methods. So what is the method? What is the practice? One method to understand everything is impermanent. That's the best method. Everything is impermanent. The nature of everything is impermanent. That is the nature of everything. Means nobody can change that. Buddha can't change that. Science can't change that. Nobody can change that. Everything is the nature of everything is impermanent. So we understand it, but we don't have recognition. Everything's impermanent. The way everything appears every day to day in our life, we see them as a permanent. So that's the problem. Then we grasp and attach to that. But in reality, everything is impermanent. See, that's the problem. The way we think, the way we sort of clinging to them is as a permanent, right? And due to this contradiction, we are unhappy, suffering. So it is very important that we need to understand one key point here. And that is, we are suffering, okay, because the way we look at things and the nature of these things are contradiction and not harmony. That's why we are suffering. That's why we are unhappy. So we need to make sure that our view and the nature of things are not contradict, but harmony. Okay? That's the best way to eliminate suffering and grasping and attachment and anger, all of that. And through the Dharma practice, bring our mind in harmony with the reality of things. Emptiness explains, an interdependent origination explains us to the reality, the nature of everything. Then our mind we need to have a view based on that sort of nature, not contradict. That's why sometimes we call it ignorance, right? So if you have a nice car, at the same time you should understand it's impermanent. That's the nature of the car. But if you want a permanent, that car is nothing. You have to, then there's a contradict. The car is not permanent, but you want it to be a permanent. Then something will happen that makes you unhappy. So you see, there's a contradiction between the things and the way you see it. So if we are able to do that through the practice, then this contradiction will not arise. Because of that, then we can reduce unhappiness. See, logically, these things make sense. So think this very carefully. The true nature of your car is very impermanent, meaning Today you have it. Today it works, but you don't know tomorrow. You might not have it. It might not work tomorrow. Then if you understand that, then it doesn't work tomorrow. It doesn't really, no big deal how I know that. But if your mind not be able to accept this sort of reality, then it brings you a lot of unhappiness. Because the more we clinging to something, attached to something, more we experience of unhappiness, right? This is how generally it works. So if we if we are going to sort of completely eliminate unhappiness, then it is necessary to completely eliminate grasping. Therefore, Dr. Johnson said in his commentary, let me read to this again. When free from grasping, there is nirvana. Okay? In nirvana, the attainment of lasting happiness. So, nirvana means sort of liberation, enlightenment, right? Freedom from these things. So then lasting happiness. We are no longer suffering. As I said, we have a realization of this sort of inseparable, appearance and emptiness. Then there is no grasping. There's no room for grasping. And then we're not going to suffering. What is the opposite of suffering? Happiness. But this is not sort of like temporary happiness. This is lasting happiness because we completely eliminate the grasping, the root of suffering. Then lasting happiness there. So no matter what, you are in samsara, you are in difficult in society, in difficult time, but your mind is liberated. There is no suffering. So I think in our everyday life, the things we have, we should, there's Buddhism, like there's no problem. If you have so many things, no problem. If you have like 10 houses, no problem. We should use them as much as we need. But it's extremely important that we should try to not overly attach to them and grasp them. And we have to practice sort of impermanent and emptiness. Without these two methods, impermanence and emptiness, these two methods, we cannot eliminate grasping. Therefore, and the Buddhist teachings talking about, things are impermanent and emptiness. The reason is because through this practice, we're able to reduce grasping. For example, when you become a Buddhist, the first you have to practice is outer preliminaries. In the outer preliminaries, you need to contemplate on impermanence. And then people hear the teachings about impermanence, meditate on impermanence. Oh, this is such a sort of negative, meditation or negative teaching, because you want everything is permanent. But then the way you investigate and contemplate this impermanence, and many people don't like that. But as long as you don't understand that, there is a contradiction, so that makes us suffering. So as soon as we reduce, eliminate the grasping, we we will be able to eliminate unhappiness, right? But as I said, we heard these teachings and many, many times, like that. But usually it doesn't matter how much changes there is, how many teachings we receive, we still believe it is permanent. We can see all these changes. The whole world is changing constantly in front of us. But we still believe, and these things appear to us as a solid, as a permanent, as a single, as a one thing. So I think it's important for all of us to understand this nature and to go beyond sort of this contradiction and to discover who we are as a human being. Okay, now I have to finish today. So the next song talks about everything that we experience is our own mind. Okay, it says, "Chugan simjijur, all phenomena are experience of the mind. Chugan simjijur yins." This is important. Chukan means all phenomena. Simji means the mind. Joyrin means experience. So all the phenomena that all these appearances, okay, are experience of the mind. So all appearances, the phenomena are experience of our mind. So he said, without searching for a creator of the four elements, right? The earth and all this water and this thing, four elements, such as Deva or Brahma or God, etc. Lasso, Yongyi Jinkan Matsarwal, Chadong, Lasok means etc. There are so many there, so and so on and so forth. So the best you can to rest in the nature of mind itself. Okay. The thing is, if we don't discover the nature mind, the true nature mind, we may believe that things exist outside of our mind as some sort of objective, like a reality or creator. If we believe in this way, the problem is we cannot be free, because then we are always sort of waiting for conditions outside of us. And whatever appears to us exists outside of us, then we have nothing to do with the experience of non-duality. So Dr. Johnson says that without searching for a creator of the four elements, such as Brahma or God and Sata, an Indian philosopher said, you should investigate whether there is a such thing as a God. He said, either we have created God or God has created us. He said, if we examine very closely, we have created God. Our thought has created God. And then thought worships the image which is thought has created. Because we created that because we want safety. We want to feel there is somebody looking after us. So he said, you created that and then worship that. Okay, he said that. However, the Buddha said, abandon everything that is negative, cultivate everything that is positive, training your mind. 3 lines. This is what Lord Buddha teaches us. So these 3 lines are considered the essence of what the Buddhist teachings are about. Okay? So if you want to sort of summarize all the Buddhist teachings, you will find that everything is contained within these 3 lines. Okay? These 3 lines are the essence of the teachings of Hinayana, the first, first line, Hinayana teachings. Second line, Mahayana teachings. The last line, training your mind, is Vajrayana Buddhism. That is the view. Today we're talking about the view, right? So this is another important view that Buddha teaches. So it's basically, everything that is, you have to abandon everything that's negative and cultivate everything that's positive, training your mind. So that means everything, your mind is the creator instead of Brahma or God or, all of that. So the bottom line, the point is training your mind. That's the thing. That's the third line, right? So you think about, what does it mean to be a Buddhist? Think about that. What does it mean to be a practice the Buddha's teachings? Okay? Train your mind. Subdue your mind. It means to be a Buddhist. It is that we are ourselves responsible. That's actually the meaning of that 3 lines of the Buddha's teaching. We are responsible. So this is difficult because we human beings really love sort of blaming somebody, right? Somebody else. For example, happiness, or or suffering, happiness. You blame the Buddha, you blame the God, you blame your teachers, etc. I mean, if you're a Christian, you blame this creator, the God. Why God? Why, right? But the Buddha said that don't blame others, train your mind. Life's sort of responsibility that we have as a human being, we have to train the mind, eliminate negativities, eliminate bad behavior, bad actions. In order to do that, we have to train your mind, our own mind. Not blame Buddha, not blame God, not blame anything else. Blame your mind. Remember, and the 7-point mind training. Blame yourself. Because you have to create your own happiness. You have to create your own suffering. You have to avoid creating the cause and conditions that will bring about suffering. That's what actually basically Buddha is talking about. But it's very difficult for us to accept that, right? We are the best. There is no problem my side. Everything is a problem there. So it's something that we're not sort of used to doing, right? Therefore, it would be very difficult for us to fully engage and accept and follow the Buddha's teaching. If you want to follow Buddha's teaching, these 3 lines, abandon negative thoughts, create positive thoughts, and then train your mind. So anyway, these 3 lines really important, become sort of the main practice of Buddha's teaching. And the way we eliminate grasping. And the Buddha sort of discovered interdependence and emptiness, right? Instead of a creator, we have to remember that. And this is the Buddha's sort of, we think, this is the Buddhist sort of unique view, the right view. Interdependence and emptiness, everything arising interdependent. And everything sort of out of emptiness, appears out of emptiness and interdependent. This is what we think the Buddhist unique view and teaching. So we have to understand what is the uniqueness of Buddhist teachings, right? And when we think about the interdependent origination and the union of sort of appearances and emptiness, and the way we investigate this, it brings us closer to the reality. That's why it's unique, which is the nature of sort of inseparable dependent arising and emptiness. That's the nature of the thing. And through this sort of investigation, we will be able to cut the root of suffering. And through practicing this, we will be able to eliminate this contradiction. That's what I mentioned above. The way we look at things and the nature of things are not harmony. That is what I mean, contradiction. And through this practice, we will be able to eliminate this ignorance. But this realization cannot happen when our mind is dualistic. Therefore, Dr. Johnson says here, do the best you can to rest in the nature of mind itself. So the point here is train your mind. Sort of, basically it's saying, train your mind. There is no such thing as a creator. Subdue in your mind. Eliminate your grasping. So that's what all these teachings are all about, Okay, and then the next song, no Jimmy Ramjinda, Tinjang Rerenjong, Nil Jopremeshi, Jobrinyola, Rangarhyo. The nature of appearances is like a magical illusion, and the way they arise is through the interdependence. That's the way things are, which cannot be expressed in words. So do the best you can to dwell in a state which is inexpressible. Okay? The middle way, Madhyamika, the middle way point of view, in order to be able to practice on interdependent and emptiness, we need to go sort of step by step. So the first step is to understand that all the phenomena do not appear or arise without their causes and conditions. Okay? They arise from their causes and conditions. They arise through interdependent. Therefore, everything is dependent arising. Okay? I mean, this is huge topic again, but I just give you some, this is what must we understand in order to understand the emptiness, right? That's the first step, the middle way point of view. The second step is to recognize that all the mental visions are like a dream and illusions. For example, in our dream, whatever we experience, we only seem to go through this experience because we are afflicted by sleep. Therefore, none of the dream experience actually take place, right? And it is only sleep that make it seem as though they are really happening. All the things that we see, we hear, is like a reflection in a mirror. Nothing is truly existing. Temporarily existent, but nothing is truly existent. Okay? Relatively, it is only due to sort of specific circumstances that all things appear to exist just for temporary. And through this knowledge, through this understanding, we can discover that all of our day-to-day experience and our circumstances are manifest through dependent arising. That second step you have to understand. Again, this is huge topic again, but I just give you summary. Then the third step is we need to realize that all these appearances and emptiness is inseparable. When I studied the middle way, my teacher always said that there is no different value between emptiness and appearances. They equally have same value. And we have to realize that these two are inseparably and without falling into two extremes that I mentioned above. So from the relative point of view, everything arising from interdependent origination. When we investigate, we cannot find anything truly existent. Therefore, Teloba said that it is not that there is nothing, there is something. But he also said, I cannot tell you what it is. You must discover it for yourself. That's why Buddha always say, like, you are the responsible. No blame others. So you have to find out. That's what actually it's talking about. And the inseparable, the appearances and emptiness. There is something I can't tell you. You have to discover it. That's what that means. That's why Tapa Jansen's last stanza says, so do the best you can to dwell in a state which is inexpressible. It's inexpressible. You cannot say it, but you can discover through your meditation, which is emptiness, and not only emptiness, but appearance, the union of the appearance, the emptiness, and this kind of like inseparable thing. That is the liberation. That is inexpressible, but you can discover that. Okay? So that is the final teaching on the pardon from the four attachment. If grasping arise, you do not have the view. So we don't have actually the view, maybe intellectual, but not really. We don't have the view because we have the grasping. So that is the Manjushri's instructions, the final line, the last teaching of the four pardon from four attachments. So again, grasping is the incorrect view. So if we recognize the correct view, which is the nature of reality, then whether we speak of what the Nyingma tradition calls the Dzogchen, the great perfection, or what the Karjuk tradition called the Mahamudra or Chakja Chimbo, or what the Satya tradition calls, Horndi Irmit, which means Horndi Irmit. Horwa means samsara, Di means nirvana, Irmit means inseparability of samsara and nirvana. That's Satya tradition, sort of the highest teaching of meditation. And then what the Gelug tradition called Great Middle Way, which is the interdependent origination, inseparable, like the emptiness. That's the middle way, great middle way. So the intention and essence is the same. All of this is the same. So you see, these teachings are all concerned with how to recognize these sort of intrinsic nature, sort of awareness as it is. And all these traditions, have same view that how to eliminate grasping. So that's basically all are same. There is a different way to sort of use the method, strategy, and all of this through different lineages. That's what we call different traditions. But basically, they all sort of have same view and concern that like how to recognize this intrinsic nature and how to eliminate the grasping. Then you can say, like your Nyingma tradition, your Satya tradition, there's no different. All are same, which is the main teaching of Buddha. Okay? Now we have the last, his song, which is the dedication, okay? That is, it says, given by the merit of this virtue of explaining the pardon from the four attachments, may all the 7 realms of living beings be led to the stage of Buddhahood. Dedication. So Tapa Johnson hears this teaching as a pity instruction for the sake of all. And one thing is that I want to explain is, in his dedication, he says, may all the seven realms of living beings. Usually we don't say 7 realms, we say 6 realms, right? But Tapa Johnson added here the intermediate state, the Pardo realms. Pardo means intermediate states, realm. The Pardo beings, as you know, the intermediate states, beings have passed away from one of the 6 realms. Either you are a human being, you are animal, whatever, you are going through the intermediate state. So you pass away from one of the 6 realms, but have not yet found another sort of rebirth, right? In between, that's another realm. So they're caught in a sort of intermediate state. They're stuck there, a kind of, you use limbo, right? Limbo between the previous life and the next. Therefore, this is actually very painful sort of Bardo realm, very painful, very difficult. So therefore, I think he prays that all of this sort of Bardo beings, all of these 7 different kinds of, the 6 different kinds of beings, and especially the Bardo, the intermediate state realm. So he prays that all of these 7 different kinds of beings may achieve Buddhahood. Buddhahood is freedom from suffering. We talked about that. So Buddhahood, there's nothing Buddhahood exists somewhere else, but it is the freedom from grasping, freedom from attachment. That is the dedication, okay? That is his dedication. So we should dedicate exact same the way he dedicated all the sentient beings, okay? Remember that. So now this teaching of pardon from the 4 attachments, it's, it's only 4 lines long, but they contain all the meaning of Buddhist teachings, really. So to summarize that, what we have learned from this teaching so far, first, remember Tapa Johnson explained that how to distinguish between authentic and artificial discipline, study, contemplation, and meditation. Remember? We have to be like very sort of authentic Dharma practitioner. He talked about that first. And then second, he explained how to practice genuine sort of renunciation. And then third, he explained how to generate bodhicitta on the basis of true love and compassion. And then fourth, it is very important for us not to fall into any extreme. Today we talked about. Because you can see so many human beings have this extreme, so that they can harm others easily without any sort of sense of feeling, sort of, compassion and love. So because of this extreme. So that's very important. And recognize the true nature of the interdependent emptiness inseparably. So that's the summarize of this whole teaching. So therefore, until we have sort of had the experience, we must contemplate, meditate on each of these different subjects. Okay? That's how you do. That's why you receive these teachings. You want to receive these teachings. So you want to practice. If you want to practice, then you have to do this way. You must contemplate and meditate on each of these different subjects. These different subjects are the foundation, the essence of the teaching. So I hope that whatever blessings I have received from these teachings and from my kind root teachers will also come to you. I dedicate that to you, all of you. And I share this teaching with all of you. And we have been studying this teaching for a few months. And if there are some benefits and merits, I would like to dedicate them to all sentient beings. And may all be free from attachment to worldly existence. May all be free from attachment to selfish purpose. May all be free from grasping to the view so that we have a correct sort of recognition, correct view, and may all attain enlightenment in this very lifetime. All right, that's my dedication, and you should dedicate whatever you want to dedicate this teaching. As I said, this is the last teaching and the public teaching that I have this year, and now there's, for a while, there's no public teaching. But if you need help individually, I'll be here. Let me know. Other than that, for a while we don't have any public teaching until when I have a clear plans for the next time, my teaching schedule, I will let you know. That's that. And yeah, I think that's all. And I would like to say thank you, all of you, for being here and attend, my teachings. And I would like to thank all the volunteers. I would like to thank Bodhicitta Sangha. I would like to thank the board members. I would like to thank Colin, host, the Zoom. I would like to thank Martin, the recorded in this teaching available for everybody for free. So yeah, I would like to thank, everyone, Alan, Kate, Jeremy, Kelly, Candice, Davidat, board members. You're doing such great and beneficial for everybody. I'm here I have this opportunity to share all of this, my knowledge and teachings, because of all of you. Without you, I cannot do this. So that's all I want to say, and I wish you all have a great summer and very healthy and happy, and more importantly, have a great practice and grow your wisdom and reduce your grasping and attachment. Okay? With that, I would like call into the closing prayers. I just taught too much today, so there is no meditation session here, but that's fine. So now we're going to close the prayer and dedicate together. Okay.
May I attain in each and every life the sublime virtues of existence and peace. May I pursue the flawless mindset of altruism, working for the welfare of others on a vast scale. Through this very merit of mine, may every single sentient being eliminate all forms of negativity and practice virtue forevermore. May Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wean, but continue to grow forevermore. For as long as space exists, for as long as beings endure, until then may I too remain to dispel the suffering of all beings. In all my lives, no matter where I am born, May I in all my lives, no matter where I am born, obtain the 7 qualities of the upper realms of existence. May I meet the Dharma immediately after taking birth and have the freedom to practice perfectly. May I please the sublime gurus and day and night dedicate myself to the Dharma. By realizing the Dharma and practicing its innermost essence, may I cross the ocean of conditioned existence in this very life. May I teach the sublime Dharma perfectly and never become weary and tired of benefiting others in samsara. By my own impartial and all-encompassing activities to benefit others, may all attain enlightenment together. And Khenpo's Anne requested that we say the long life prayer for you today. The melody of immortality, a prayer for longevity. Kri, in the divine mandala where all that appears and exists is utterly pure. You, the sovereign of all the Buddha families and teacher of the Tantras, mature and liberate the three gates into their Vajra nature. Vajra King, may you ever remain. Within the Vajra body, you reveal the mandala of the great bliss of the indestructible three secrets. Most supreme of all, Lord of the Vajra transmission, Vajra Master, may you remain for 100 eons. Through the effortless path, you directly reveal unchanging self-awareness, the basic space of great bliss. Caring for the profound key instructions of perfection, glorious Guru, may you remain until the end of existence. Precious successor to the gurus of the three lineages, may you remain throughout the three times in Vajra form, forever hoisting the great banner of the Dharma of the three lineages throughout the three realms.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you so much, Khenpo. Thank you.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
you so much. Thank you so much, Khenpo.
Thank you, everyone.
Summer.
Have a good summer.
Thank you very much, Khenpo.
See you again.
All right.